Hello, Crow Coven, and welcome back to our channel. This is Nyx from Crowmate's Apothecary, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at your February 2024 predictions. But before we get into the reading, and if you're new, remember to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and also leave a comment to let us know that you've joined the Crow Coven, as well as to appease the algorithm gods. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, feel free to share this video with a friend. You can also support our channel more directly by checking out our website at crowmatesapothecary.com, where we create homemade, all-natural self-care products. And we actually just recently created our Aphrodite self-care collection, which is going to be dropping tomorrow, February 1st, and displayed will be an image of everything that comes along in that collection. CrowmateSapothecary.com is also the only place where you can book a private tarot reading with me, so if I have ever resonated with you as a reader and you've been interested in getting a reading done, remember to check that out. Just know that in whatever way you guys choose to support, I just want to thank you all for watching this video. And now let's get into the intro of the cards. Starting on the far left side, we have the Art Nouveau Tarot along with this Aura Quartz, and this is going to be representing group number 1. Then we have the Mystic Mondays Tarot in this pink agate representing group number 2. Next is the Wild Unknown and this piece of raw crystal quartz representing group 3. And lastly, we have the Marigold Tarot and this Bloodstone representing group number 4. If you guys need a moment, feel free to pause the video and meditate on the decks that I have set out in front of you. And then when you've made your decision, head on down to the description box below and then click on the timestamp that corresponds with the group that you chose. And now without further ado, let's head into your reading. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading today, all about your February 2024 predictions. So you guys chose the Art Nouveau Tarot along with this Aura Quartz. And before we get super far into this reading, I just wanted to take a moment to, 1, thank you guys, but 2, also remind you guys to get something to keep you hydrated and also to find something to take notes with so you can go ahead and write down any sort of the meanings or symbolism that you're seeing in this reading and hearing from me so you can remember it for later. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Hope you guys have been doing well. I hope you had a great week. For group 1, Spirit, can we get a few cards out for their February of 2024 predictions? The first card we have coming out is the 9 of Wands, and that talks a lot about having this sense of resilience and courage to push forward on something that's going on in your life. So perhaps there is a certain decision that you're going to be making that's going to really need you to put in a lot of effort and really put in a lot of just yourself, and really is testing kind of you and your boundaries during this time. But what I'm seeing is that when you do push yourself through to that, you actually are going to see a very powerful like almost surge in your ability to self-sustain, how we're seeing here in the 9 of Pentacles. The fact that we have 2 9s that came out one after the other is also very interesting. With the 9 of Pentacles, this is a time for you to really splurge on yourself. This talks about living a life of luxury, being able to feel grateful for the things that you have worked on in your life, and you're feeling this you have like the accumulation of everything that you have been working on that's finally, you're able to see it more than you ever have in the past. So this is a great time for you to do some self-care, where if you are someone who really likes to recharge by going off into, like maybe you like to take a trip and you like to go off into nature and take some time away from like the hustle and bustle of the world, this might be a time where in February you are planning perhaps a trip for yourself, or you're trying to hash out the details of something like that because you're like, all your finances are in order, you're feeling good, and everything is pointing toward that as something for you to experience. It can be something as small as perhaps you just love to really delve into reading books and you haven't been able to for a long time, and you're finally sitting there going like, you know what, I have been putting in so much time at work, I don't have to like stress as much because look, I've got all this wealth, so I can kind of like cut back a little bit on my hours so I can make way for things that really fill you up emotionally, especially if you're going through a time where you are having to persevere, you're having to push forward and really um, be very, very resilient. This is going to be hand in hand, kind of you needing to take care of yourself so you're able to push forward. So I see February so far as a month where you are going to be doing both a lot of work as well as a lot of relaxing. You're kind of finding, it almost feels like a balance. You're finding that balance between being able to be inspired and enjoy your life, as well as putting in the work that's needed to make that money that you're able to finally see helping you. Let's go ahead and pull a few more. The King of Pentacles coming out as well really talks about being secure and being in control of your situation, being in control of your abundance and the things around you. So again, I am seeing this sort of power coming from you that you're either going to suddenly seemingly find almost overnight, or you're going to have been working toward this for so long that you're finally reaching this point where you do feel so just secure and in control of yourself and especially your finances. Let's keep going, Spirit. Can we get a few more? The next is Judgment coming out. This is such an amazing reading so far. You guys are having just, it feels almost like a huge glow up, and you're just like really stepping into yourself, because Judgment talks about this being almost like, again, like the culmination of everything. It's the absolution of oneself. And it really talks about you knowing yourself inside and out, and you knowing what your inner calling is. So if you have been struggling with not quite knowing where you fit, February could perhaps be this almost moment of rebirth for you, because we're seeing just all of the strength and power coming back to you, or you have been building it up slowly and you're finally seeing yourself as someone who is almost like a leader, very in control of yourself. And whatever's happening, there is this overall feeling that this is exactly what is needed for you. You're going to, by the end of the month, really see yourself as someone who knows exactly what they want, and you're going to feel just very, very complete within yourself. Love to get another one, please, Spirit. Lastly, another strong card we're seeing is the Wheel of Fortune coming out in the upright position. The fact that all of these have come out upright too is just showing very positive things for you guys in February. But with the Wheel of Fortune, this is again another card that deals with cycles and deals with kind of like you are at a turning point in your life that is going to point you towards just your proper and real destiny. You're going through certain life cycles right now that you either are realizing, especially in the month of February, there's some cycle, I'm getting this message of, you need to break a certain habit or a certain cycle that you, I feel, know in yourself is very negative and does just more harm to you than good. And you have to persevere through that and really take away whatever energy that thing has over you and turn it into something more positive and working with you and not against you. But overall, this card here really talks about good luck and does talk about the fact that you are going through almost this cycle of karma where you have put out it. From what I'm seeing in these cards, you've put out so much positive energy and so much strength into betterment and into the good of the world or of yourself, that it's kind of coming back to you and making you feel far more fulfilled than you have in some time. I just say to be careful of how, like, the figure in this card has a blindfold on. Don't be blind to the to anything that is out of your control, some sort of like negative forces that could be trying to really dampen you or really take away from you. Kind of like what I was talking about with the that there's some certain life cycle that you know and you're almost feeling like it's about to reach completion and then go back to the start. There's something negative that you know of that I think you need to deal with, and that is going to be kind of the thing that you're persevering through in the month of February. So let's go ahead and pull. I'm actually going to pull just a couple more, just to see if we can get any messages about whatever that certain situation is. We get two more cards. This one flew out, almost blocked. There was the Fool coming out, which... One more card, please, Spirit. And the Knight of Swords in the reverse position. We're finally seeing our first couple cards in this reading where they're not upright. They're kind of in a weird in-between stage, as well as completely reversed. With this Knight of Swords, it almost feels like these two are working in tandem, because the Knight of Swords reverse can really talk about having your thoughts be just like all over the place. You're not quite sure what you want to completely settle down on, and you're almost going at it in a more like lackadaisical like way, where you're just like, you know what, I don't really care, I'm just gonna go ahead and go forth and do this thing without thinking things through fully. And that's the other message that I'm getting from this Fool, the fact that it feels like blocked. It feels like you're in between the state of either a like brand new beginning where you're just this like spontaneous free spirit and you're able to just like go forth on this new journey, and then the opposite end of it is just like going at it in a way that's extremely like reckless, and you're like taking risks that could be very very, very scary for one, but also could be almost point you toward feeling like very foolish or very naive about certain situations. So this feels like, though, that because you know kind of what's going on and you're getting pulled towards a greater calling, it feels almost more like if you are afraid of change and you're afraid of doing something new, it almost feels like the universe is kind of warning you to take your time to set things into place before you jump into this new journey. And if you're someone who is like, no, give me change, I want to jump forward and do this new thing, I'm ready for it kind of thing, it feels like you're blind to something that's going on. There's some information that you need to find and figure out before you go ahead and just jump right into this. Overall, this still feels pretty positive. It just feels like there may be a need for you to speed up or slow down. And it's gonna be, as this is a general reading, this is gonna just be really case by case basis kind of dealings that we have right now, where you have to take a critical look at what is going on in your situation, in your life, and find out, know yourself enough to know whether or not you have to put in more faith to take that jump and know that it's going to be good, or you need to slow down and process all of the information before you rush into something new. So take that as it is. I know that's very one way or the other, but the fact that we're seeing the Fool like blocked right here does give me this feeling like you're the one who has the power to make this change. This isn't anyone else that's making this change for you. It's all about you and your strength. I'm going to go ahead and pull a few more cards for you. Spirit, can we get some more messages for group 1, please? For 1, we have the cat and lavender with independence. I will actually show you this cat. I love this card. So yes, another kind of like leadership almost feeling. Being able to be independent, not having to rely on other people to be the one who gets you the things that you need to get, not being able to, not having to rely on other people to guide you in a certain way. This feels like, almost through the whole reading, I felt this very like type A kind of personality, very like headstrong and very like you're able to get everything just in place for yourself and you kind of work towards your goals slowly. That doesn't sound like you at all. It may be calling you toward becoming more independent, becoming more of a leader, really stepping into that position. You may even have a cat who looks after you and is one of your companions in your life. And if so, obviously give them some neck scritches. Next, we're seeing bat. So we have cat and bat. And this is the bat and hellebore. And it says intuition. So again, really listening to yourself. Trusting in what you intrinsically believe in for yourself is going to really guide you during the month of February. I want one more. Seeing things from a different perspective, as we're seeing the bat and how it hangs upside down on the tree there. Being able to see things from different point of views as well could be very important for you during this time. Lastly, we have the elk and ash, and this card says strength. We have a lot of, this feels like just a lot of strength in general, this whole reading, but especially here with that 9 of Wands talking about needing to have courage and needing to persist on something. Feels like you do need to tap into some sort of inner strength that is going to help you during this time. Also, knowing your worth and knowing how strong you already are is going to help you on this. I'm just getting this overall feeling of you not doubting yourself or doubting your choices or doubting really what you believe in. Feels very important for me to say right now is just that you feel like that you're a baddie and like you know exactly what you want and where you're going in life. And I think that you just need to keep up that momentum. Just keep pushing through in that way, because that's the feeling that I'm getting for you guys, is that you absolutely have things aligned for yourself. And if you're someone where you're like, I am struggling with being aligned with myself, what are you talking about kind of thing, is that I think that you have to not be afraid of becoming this. Like there's this calling for you to be independent and to listen to yourself and have the strength to step into a leadership sort of position. And is going to bring you way more joy than you could possibly imagine, even if at first it's scary for you to go on this journey. For some of you, this could even be something as simple as like maybe you're getting a promotion this month, But in order to have this promotion, you're kind of like shifting into a new position at your workplace, or maybe you're being offered a different job elsewhere, but it's sort of a position that deals with leadership and deals with management, and you're kind of like, I am so afraid of doing this. But if you were to actually go through with it, it looks as if you would thrive. And that's why we're seeing kind of this almost this pause here with the Fool and then the Knight of Swords, is that for some of you, you're sitting there being like, I absolutely like can't do this, and I don't know how to, like, where to even start when it comes to this. But anything, of course, can be researched. You can find resources to help you, especially with your workplace as well. If they're expecting this out of you, you need to let them know, hey, I need you to really show me what exactly it is that you're looking for out of me, in order to really thrive in this position. We're seeing so many pentacles, and that's where I was getting that sort of it possibly being a workplace thing, but this could also deal with any other aspect of your life where it almost feels like you're suddenly getting more responsibility than you intended for yourself. It doesn't feel like something that was planned. It feels more like this is a sudden surprise of, hey, now I have this and I have to deal with it, and you're really stuck on whether or not this is something that you can do. But I absolutely think that this is something that would benefit you, whatever is going on. Let's go ahead and pull some self-care cards for you guys as well. I would love to see what you can do during the month of February to really help calm you down and center yourself. Spirit, can you please pull some cards for group 1? All right, I'm gonna take these ones here that all wanted to come out at the same time. The first one we're seeing is cleanse your energy field. So if you are someone who loves to burn any sort of herbs like sage or rosemary or anything like that, this may be a good time for you to sort of cleanse yourself and cleanse your area to kind of really dissipate any of the potential negativity that you had on yourself during this time and be able to start off fresh. So even if that's, you know, like every week you're doing this like once a week, just to kind of reorient yourself into a more positive mindset. It's just doing a small ritual for yourself to really bring yourself back to center. Next, we are seeing the Build Strength card. So we talked briefly about strength as well with the Elk and Ash, and how you have to build more strength for yourself in order to persevere. But also this could be, perhaps you started looking into like kind of like a weight loss journey at the start of January, and you're now shifting your mindset from being like cardio only to, hey, I'm going to do like either fitness classes or doing like weightlifting kind of thing, and actually building up on the strength of your muscles instead of just focusing like solely on cardio. That could be how to read this card as well. But it feels more internal because we're seeing how the figure has that third eye. And so it feels like you are building strength more within yourself and within your mind, your intuition. Let's go ahead and pull one last card from here. And lastly, we have music. So if music is something that is very important to you, really lean into that during this month. If you do not create your own music, just make sure you give yourself kind of that self-care of listening to your favorite music. Don't worry about feeling like strange, like if other people are kind of like watching you and you're like listening to music, don't feel weird about like getting into that rhythm or really expressing yourself and enjoying it during this time as well. Listening to your favorite playlist during the month of February can be really helpful in just recharging yourself. and just giving you that energetic flow that you want to express in your life. So if you are ever somebody who, when you're sad and you have to cry, you have like your go-to cry songs, it's kind of like that, but doing it in a way that is, get out your like basically like literally like baddie playlist and listen to songs that just make you feel like so powerful within yourself, whatever way that looks to you, whatever music that invokes that within you. Listen to those things that give you this sense of authority and sense of leadership. And lastly, I'm going to pull one more card for you guys, and then I will roll the Astro dice for any last messages. So can we get one last message for group 1? We have the Bruno Bucciarati card here that says embrace the path. So it really feels like you're going on some sort of journey. You either just started it or you are going to begin this new journey, and it is like carved out for you, honestly, as if it was some sort of like destiny. We're seeing so many cards that are really talking about that within Judgment and the Wheel. And then also with this card here, we're seeing this numerous times that whatever it is that you are thinking about, like when I was speaking during your reading and you're like, yes, I know that this is relating to this thing in my life, this is for you. Whatever it is, the universe wants you to know that you just need to really push through, and whatever this is pointed towards, this is kind of giving you a yes. This is giving you a go for it. Turn this fool into an upright fool and go on this new journey, because it's really feeling like this is like your absolute calling. So this is an amazing reading for February. I'm so glad that I was able to get this out for you guys today. Lastly, I'm going to roll this Astro dice for any further messages. So this could be your sun, moon, or rising, or perhaps someone in your life that could be guiding you on this path, or anything along those lines. The first one we're seeing is Libra. You could also perhaps need some balance in your life. This kind of, it's closer to Gemini, I'd say. It kind of landed oddly on the cards, but Gemini. And lastly, we're seeing Cancer as well. So thank you guys so much for getting this far in your reading. This was an amazing reading to give for today, and I'm so glad that you guys were able to hear these messages. If you feel called out, like if there's something in here that was like, you knew exactly what this is about, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear if this was something that really resonated with you. And also, if you did get this far in your reading, feel free to leave a cat emoji to let me know which group that you guys chose. Thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. It was my pleasure to bring it to you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hello, group number 2, and welcome to your reading all about your February 2024 predictions. So before we get into it, remember to get something to keep yourself hydrated during this video, and also something to take down notes so you can write down any messages or symbolism that you see or hear as I'm giving this reading for you to look over in the future. So you guys chose the Mystic Mondays Tarot along with this pink agate, and I'm going to go ahead and show this off for you guys one more time. And as we get started in this reading, I hope that you guys had an amazing week. I hope that everything really just lined up perfectly for you. Let's go ahead and get started. Spirit, could you please get me a few cards for group 2 for their February of 2024? What can we see for them? The first we're seeing is the Nine of Pentacles, and this is very interesting because I also pulled the Nine of Pentacles for group 1, though it was the second card that came out. So you guys may be having some similarities. Let's see. The Nine of Pentacles and also the King of Pentacles. So the thing is here that we're seeing obviously a lot of pentacles. This could deal with finances. This could deal with you wanting to get in more of control of yourself or your finances. How we're seeing the Nine of Pentacles is really this feeling of you being able to feel like you are living this very almost like luxurious kind of lifestyle in February. It's kind of like giving me this like treat yourself kind of moment where you're able to look around and see everything around you that is giving you this sense of self-sufficiency, and you have accumulated so much within your finances and within your life that you're able to look around and really see everything for what it is, and you're like, I just feel so secure and so grateful for what I have in my life right now that I don't feel as constrained as I used to. I'm feeling like there is this constraint because we're seeing the King of Pentacles reversed, and this gives off this feeling of it could be almost a very controlling sort of feeling, something that is very dominating, in the sense of either this could be you who you are just in control of your life almost to the point where it's too much. It almost feels like you are too stringent within yourself. Or this could be someone else that's in your life that could be being very dominating over some aspect within your life and within yourself. And that could lead back to the Nine of Pentacles, how we're seeing the king looking off to the side, but when it's in reversed, they're looking to these pentacles here. It almost gives me this feeling like someone is kind of in control of your money, and that is, or in control even perhaps of your security. So even if you're not the person that is able to feel like, oh, I'm so in control of everything, I feel so secure and just able to feel self-sufficient, it almost feels like it's tied into this card here where it's someone else that's bringing this to you, but it's almost in a way that is more of a negative light. This could perhaps be like certain dealings with, like, say you have a parent who only ever wants to like give you, they know that like when you're struggling they'll like give you money, but then it kind of comes with this like unwritten need of like, now you have to give me your attention or you have to do something for me. It kind of gives off that sort of feeling. So just be very careful about perhaps anything, especially in the beginning of February, the concept of like borrowing money from somebody, or or especially if it's someone who has done this in the past, just be very, very careful. And if this is about you, try not to fall into the pitfall of you having to be so stringent on yourself and your funds that you literally like never ever have any fun. If you're looking around and you're seeing like, wow, I'm so self-sufficient and I have money where I don't feel like I'm stressed out whenever I have to pay a bill, maybe you should allow yourself a chance to like unwind, plan a trip, anything like that. Let's go ahead and get some more messages for you. Group 2. These two both just flew out, so I am taking both of them. We have the Magician as well as the Eight of Cups, and I'm going to be reading these together because they both just like flew out together. But the Magician is someone who honestly has this extreme ability to be so resourceful within themselves, and they are able to concentrate and focus that power that they have and the skills that they have to lead them down whatever path they want to take. And in conjunction with the Eight of Cups that we're seeing here, this can be showing us almost this kind of this moment of being so disappointed in something that you withdraw from something, and it's a sense of escapism. It almost feels like these two are playing opposites from one another, where this person is very in control of themselves, they have these options and they have the ability to push forward. This one here feels almost like the shrinking away, really falling into almost a fantasy world because they don't want to deal with certain aspects of their life that they are afraid to broach because they either don't know how to, or they're being led down that path. And it could be led in the sense of like, it doesn't have to necessarily be another person, but it could be someone, perhaps a King of Pentacles, that's leading you down this path, or it could be within your own mind. Can we get some clarification for this? Because it's interesting that they both came out together so strongly, but are so very opposite. Get some clarification. The World. This is like giving me this feeling of this has to really do with everything around you coming to completion. It feels almost like it gives me this feeling of like you're the one that's traveling this path, and you're the one that's making the decisions to go in whichever way that you want to go. So this is really talking about and touching in on the self, and how it's either you are making the decisions to stand in your power and be this very resourceful figure, or you are the one who's going to kind of lead yourself down this path that is going to be, in the end, more destructive for you. The World, however, is a very positive card. It talks about a sense of accomplishment and really being able to integrate yourself within the larger picture of the world. And on a more surface level, it can very easily talk about travel. So if you are someone who loves to travel and you simply haven't in a while, but you are at this point where you feel like you do have this financial security, this may be a calling for you in February to go ahead and plan that big trip that you've been wanting to plan, because maybe you are feeling at a loss within yourself, feeling a little bit more out of control. How I'm seeing these is like, it's almost like you're wrestling with these two negative aspects of what you think is negative, I suppose, of yourself, where perhaps you're someone who may be a little bit more controlling when it comes to the things that you want, or when it comes to your finances. And perhaps you also know that you're someone that when you're stressed, you fall into this sort of withdrawal mode, and you go into an escapism, you go into your own world, like a fantasy world, because you can't bring yourself to marry these two ideas of yourself together into a complete person. Such as, this is really talking now about like shadow work. So being able to see your flaws and see the shadows within your own self, and being able to really integrate them within yourself. So instead of you working against yourself, you're using those strengths and shifting them and manipulating them into something that could be more powerful for yourself. That's the overall feeling I'm getting for you guys, is almost this back and forth struggle within yourself, where you're feeling good a little bit when it comes to monetary, but then there's a lot of mind and emotional things that are going on that are really holding you back from being able to give yourself more and see this sort of completion. However, we are seeing a lot of positive in these cards as well. So I would say that this is moreover you're on the like sword edge teetering, and you're either going to go one way or the other, and this is about you taking back that control and pushing for yourself to have a more positive outcome in your future. I'm going to pull a couple more cards for you guys because I am very interested in finding out what's going on with this. Please, some more clarification cards or any further messages for group 2. Ooh, yeah, 2 of Pentacles. Really talking about balancing yourself out. Some of this has to do with, again, finances, where it talks about you like allowing yourself to have the finances for the necessities, such as like your mortgage or rent, bills, things like that, and then also having it for fun. It talks about being able to manage your time and prioritize things a lot better as well. So if you're someone like me who absolutely struggles with prioritizing, where you will be like, yes, I'm going to do this thing, and you put it on, it's supposed to be at the top of the list, but you put it like midway down, and then you suddenly realize at the end of the day that you're not going to reach that thing and you don't get it done. And then you just keep doing that over and over again. You need to look at the things that are actually important in your life and put those things at the top. They may be the harder things that you have to do, but you going through a lot of frivolous, easy things that you can check off your list is in the end not going to be as important as really sitting down and taking the time to do that one big thing that you have been avoiding, that is going to make you feel more secure within yourself, is the feeling that I'm getting. Also being able to be adaptable, so really tapping again into that magician feeling here, being able to go with the flow with things a lot more, being able to change it up when you suddenly get new information or something shifts in your life. You may be experiencing that during the month of February. But I do think that this is kind of a almost advice, just kind of taking the balance and time management and prioritization to heart during February is going to really start you on this path of being able to lean more into the magician, lean toward the positivities of the world instead of what is possibly plaguing you or around you during this time. We're also seeing the Tower reverse. So yeah, this is talking about, this is some internal stuff that's going on with you guys. The Tower, whether it is upright or reversed, talks about this need to basically be completely leveled so you're able to build up a stronger foundation and build yourself up further. The Tower reverse talks about you really wanting to avoid this disaster, and you are afraid of the potential change that could be happening during this time. But the Tower is kind of like, this is an inevitability. This is going to happen whether you fight it or go along with it, just because of how destructive it is. And it usually comes at us as a very sudden and needed change. It appears because the universe is letting us know, like, hey, this absolutely needs to happen for you to, it's kind of like hitting rock bottom, but then when you come back, yes, you have to crawl through a like pit, but when you come back, you are much stronger than where you were before this change happened. And with it being reversed, this is very internal. So there's something going on within your mind, within your emotions, that you are needing to unlock. I'm seeing again, there's this we're seeing this infinity like symbol here in both of these cards. So I think it is some sort of cycle. It feels like something that has happened a few times that you possibly even know about. You know what is going on with this Tower reversed moment, and you know it's something that's keeping you from being able to express yourself the way that you want to, and the way that you that would be positive for your overall growth. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull a few more cards for you guys, group 2. That's pretty heavy, but I feel like you're going to be able to persevere and get through this. It's just going to be you realizing that this needs to happen and taking the time and energy to give yourself that strength. In this card here I pulled is the porcupine and anemone, and it says boundaries. So placing boundaries on the people and things in your life that are taking away from you is going to be very important during February. Not allowing for things of a negative nature to keep coming back into your life that make you want to run and withdraw. Really being also strong when it comes to boundaries within yourself, and knowing that if you start this journey going, you know what, I'm never going to allow myself to get back to this place here, you have to hold yourself up to that standard and create that boundary. Can I get a few more cards, Spirit? I'm going to pull 2 at once is what I'm feeling. And I'll show them both off. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So the first card is the Snake and Fern, and it says starting over, and this really goes hand in hand with the Vulture and Asphodel. I believe that's how that's pronounced, and it says upheaval. So again, another upheaval card. You're going through it. You're going through a very deep, intense, sudden change. There's a need for you to start over, and almost a want for you to start over. It almost feels like part of you really has wanted this, but it's been so hard for you to find the strength to do so. And now it's getting to the point where the universe is kind of like pushing your hand and almost forcing this to be something that happens. There's going to be a change. So something is going on in February where there is going to be a deep change. Whatever the situation is that you're going through, it's going to happen internally. So this is kind of a get yourself prepared and ready for this. Of course, tarot is all advice and you have free will, but I do believe that it's going to be something that it's going to make itself very apparent to you. It's not going to be like oh, what am I waiting and looking for? Like, what signs am I looking for? It's going to be a in your face. The reason why this isn't happening is because of this, or vice versa. The reason why this is happening is because of this kind of thing. So just keep that in mind, that whether you want to or not, I think there's a lot of internal that's going to be coming to the surface in February, and you're going to need to give yourself a lot of grace and a lot of patience to work through whatever this situation is. I'm going to get you guys some self-care cards so we can see what it is that you can do during the month of February to kind of help you during this time. There's 2 cards that came out at once. The first one we're seeing is Look to the Stars. And then next we're seeing Dream Journal. So it could be looking to the stars really deals a lot with like your intuition and being able to see certain signs and symbols as well. If you're somebody that really like believes heavily in astrology, it could be that maybe you're somebody that like you like to look up your horoscope and kind of plan around that, or maybe you're very you get stressed out when you find out about when Mercury is going into retrograde and things like that. If you're into that sort of thing, really lean into it. It's fun, it's for entertainment, and it can sometimes give you a heads up on certain aspects about yourself and certain things that are happening in your life that can be great for you to know before it comes fully to fruition. And next we're seeing with Dream Journal, you writing down things and symbols that you're seeing in your dreams could tie to looking to the stars as well. Again, dealing with intuition, you're dealing a lot with your subconscious, which again in turn talks a lot about the more internal aspect of things, starting to get to know yourself more. If you keep a dream journal and write down these things, you can really see, you can kind of, it can kind of tell a story about your subconscious mind and the things that you need to focus on, and also just hints on what's going on in your subconscious as well. So writing things down the moment you wake up, if you just pull up your notes app and type out your wild dreams, you can start to see a pattern with them sometimes, and you can see what it means by like You can even Google it, or you can find somebody who can interpret dreams and see if you can get help figuring out what's going on. Lastly, we have, wow, the last card I pulled was intuition. So yeah, you really have to listen to yourself during February, because it feels like almost as if you haven't listened to yourself for some time. We're seeing at the core how this figure is very small, and it is your inner self who's trying to call out for you so you can really know exactly what is going on within yourself and within your mind. How we're seeing the mind's eye there is it's trying to pull you more toward that intuition. So I really feel like during February, you listening to yourself, not pushing yourself so far that you have a breakdown or have a feeling of needing to escape or withdraw is going to be very important during this time. Also, don't feel the need to do this alone. It does feel almost like, because there's so much internal, that obviously you have to be the person who is spearheading you changing and growing and processing what's happened and what is going on in your life, but also don't keep to just yourself. Don't feel bad if you need to reach out for help from either friends or family, or if you even need to seek professional help. This could be something that can help you during this time. I'm going to pull one more card for you guys. We have from Maggio, which says overcoming self-doubt. So again, very, very obvious as to the meaning of this card, not allowing yourself to talk negatively to yourself and really focusing on you being a leader and knowing exactly what it is that you need and want out of your life, and not being afraid to step into that role to give that to yourself. Because I feel like it almost feels like you have this loss of agency that you haven't had for some time, and you're going to realize during this month that this is exactly the thing that you need. You do need a fresh start. You have to start over. You have to change a lot of things, go through this upheaval process, set boundaries for yourself and others, and really follow through with those things in order to kind of jumpstart your life into a better equilibrium for yourself. I'm also going to roll the Astro dice for a few last messages. This can be your sun, moon, or rising, or perhaps someone in your life who will be important during this time. The first one we're seeing is Pisces. Next, we have Cancer. So we have two water signs, which again, it deals with emotions and intuition. Oh my gosh, that rolled so far. And then Libra, also good when it talks about balance, being very balanced within yourself as well. So thank you guys so much for getting this far in your reading. Please, 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 if this sounds like anything that you are currently going through, it sounds like I called you out and you feel safe to do so, feel free to leave me a comment down below about the situation and just let me know how you feel and how you plan on really pushing through for this. Also, leave a lightning bolt emoji as well down to let me know that you chose group 2. Thank you guys again so much for getting to the end of your reading, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading all about your February 2024 predictions. So before we get started, remember to get something to hydrate with and also get something to write down some notes on so you can go ahead and reference those in the future for whatever messages or symbols that you see or hear during this reading. So to get started, you guys chose the Wild Unknown Tarot along with this raw crystal quartz. I'm going to show that off for you guys again. And as we get into this reading, I hope you guys have been having an amazing week. I hope that things have been going extremely well for you. We're already all the way through January. That's wild. Heading into February, let's go ahead and get some cards out for your February 2024 predictions. Please, Spirit, can we get some messages for group 3? We already have the Magician coming out. I'm feeling the need to pull a few more immediately. So that is strange when that happens. It normally means to me that like there is this feeling of swiftness that is coming toward you, and this need to kind of almost be on like your toes during this time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this. With the Magician, we are seeing someone who is very resourceful and can really put in a lot of focus and power within anything that they do that allows them to gain a better footing in life. We see here how the cheetah has each of the different symbols, such as like the swords, the pentacles, the wands, and the cup around them, and how they have this sense of completion because they're almost using each of these things as a way to control their surroundings, as well as feeling like they have the power to just simply control everything within these aspects. So having control on your mental state, your finances, your emotions, as well as your ability to imagine and create and manifest. So things like that, that's the feeling that I'm getting from the Magician. So it feels like a very, very strong start for you guys in February. It's possible also that with me pulling the cards as quickly as I did, which is not typically a thing that I do, it feels very much like February might be going very, very quickly for you guys. I'm getting this feeling and need almost to talk really fast as well. So you may be dealing a lot with a need or a there's some sort of need almost like for communication and being able to speak your mind quickly. So keep that in mind during the month of February. We have the Seven of Pentacles, which talks about being able to you're either able to invest in something or you're going to persevere with some sort of vision that you had that's going to bring you a reward. It's going to be able to finally show kind of like the fruits of your labor. You're going to finally see those buds bloom into fruit that you can then later harvest and use for yourself. So I'm seeing this as whatever you have been manifesting and pushing toward is finally going to give you this sense of reward and profit. Next, here in the Knight of Swords, we are seeing this this real quickness. This talks about haste. It talks about being very communicative, kind of like how I talked about earlier, that like this need for you to use your voice and be able to talk. Feeling very like opinionated and also fast-paced, like just action forward, very like quick and ready to like launch into whatever. It feels like you are either someone who is very quick talking and witty and you're able to think on your feet, or you need to kind of take on those traits during February to bring about what exactly it is that you want during this month, which again is very, very positive. You're leaning on the things that you have a special skill in that's going to help you during this month. And help it does, because we're seeing in the Two of Cups this sort of new relationship. And this could be something like a friendship or a work relationship. Perhaps you meet you've met somebody who can really help you get your foot in the door in a new position at your workplace or at somewhere else, or it could be something more romantic. So this could be about an attraction to a new person and really feeling this want to succeed within one another. So there's this filling up of these two cups. So it's something that is benefiting both of you. So again, it could be maybe you are taking on a new job, and so you are taking on a higher position, which is going to help feed you because yes, the profits, but also you're going to be helping your workplace because you have the exact skills that they're looking for that's going to help you succeed. And in order to do so, you are going to need to be very communicative. That's kind of and acting very much like jump on this. If this is something that you're interested in and you see this opportunity, don't let it fall by the waysides. Make sure you actually launch on that. But also keep an eye on other things in your life, such as the potential of meeting a new person, perhaps romantically, or even just a platonic, like friendship kind of thing. Whatever it is, you both are feeling very fulfilled by one another. So it's not going to be like someone is trying to use the other person if you are afraid of that. Because we're seeing in the Three of Wands reverse, there's kind of this fear of a delay in something and not being able to push through to reach your long-term goals with something or someone. So try not to allow this to kind of be an insecurity that seeps into your thoughts during this time. If you're someone who you can sometimes get really lost when it comes to being like the what ifs, you're like, oh, but what if like I start dating this person and then something happens and then everything falls apart. It's like you're just starting with disaster kind of thing. Try to allow this to stay by the waysides. For others, it is going to talk about that it might take a little bit of time for you to reach this certain point. So with the fact that I pulled the cards so quickly, you feel, at least the energy that I'm getting right now is this feeling of like quickness, wanting something done right now, really going for it with a lot of speed and energy. But then there's this stopping point here at the very end where it feels almost like, again, there's some sort of delay, so maybe you have to really tap into a little bit more patience during this time for you to see it all the way through. So in February, it looks like you make really great progress, but then you're not quite there at the very end of it. So just to keep persevering and pushing through, try to go through with the same strong energy as we have in the earlier part of the reading, but not enough so that you burn out. I'm going to pull a few more cards as well because I just feel the need to kind of see what else we have for group 3. What else is going on? There's already a lot here. First one we have is the Nine of Cups in the reverse position. So we're seeing this as, it almost feels like you are just not quite satisfied with what is going on in your life. You could be possibly, because you are seeking this very ambitious growth, perhaps even in finances, that you aren't feeling very satisfied because it almost lends itself to feeling greedy. So try to allow yourself to reorient yourself in the fact that you are self-sustaining. You have this you are able to provide for yourself, and you don't need to put more pressure on yourself to have like all the nicest things, or it gives me this feeling of like almost being envious of other people in your life, and you're like, well, why don't I have those things? And so you start trying to keep up with them by like buying those things that they have, but then it's still leaving you hollow because like all the cups here are upside down, so anything that you were to pour into them are just like seeping away. So really reorienting yourself to having a more in control mindset and not being taken in by what other people's definition of success is. Really focus on your own success and what you classify as success. Next, we have the Five of Swords in the reverse position, which this one here talks about there is some sort of past pain or resentment in your life that you have yet to let go of because you like it's just very hard to let go of things that have hurt you in the past. Maybe these are tied together, but for the most part, I am seeing this still as a very positive card where you are open to some sense of change. It's just needing to reach that point is kind of what's hard for you. You're like, I'm not quite sure how to get to the point of facing this flaw that I have that I need to work on, kind of thing. So this might be something in your subconscious you're more worried about during February. How we have all these like very strong action-oriented cards up here and perhaps new relationships. But then when you get to below the surface, underneath of these cards, you're seeing things that are a little bit deeper and have to deal with you really focusing on your mind as well. So making sure how we're seeing with the Magician, just how it's so in control of all of the different symbols there, is you need to make sure that you're in control as well with every aspect of yourself. And like that is a very, very like complicated want to be perfect at every aspect of yourself. So don't fault yourself if one, you falter, or two, it's just you start reaching this point of burnout. We don't want you to be reaching burnout. We want you to thrive. So take things little by little. Perhaps some advice to take during this time is allow yourself to slow down in February. If you are somebody who tends to like just rush through things, really slow down and allow yourself to enjoy each and every day and be very present within yourself during February. We're also seeing the Eight of Pentacles, which talks about, typically talks about a sense of like repetition and almost like a practice makes perfect kind of mentality, because as we see here, the spider is doing the same design over and over again before it's perfected this extremely large web, because that is what the spider does. It creates over and over and over again these beautiful works of art, and that's sort of what is needed from you, is you giving yourself time to learn something and practice. Putting practice into something is also very big for you. This can also talk about you either falling into something like a internship. So you're going to perhaps start a new relationship with someone who is going to be teaching you something, or perhaps you are seeking higher education, and this could be a relationship with a mentor or a professor where they are going to be teaching you something that is going to really give you the resources that you need to thrive during this time. Or again, this could be more of you learning something for yourself that is going to help you during this time too. So doing any sort of research that you can. I think whatever your situation is, find something to research during February to kind of help you keep track of progress, so you aren't stuck on going so fast throughout your month. You have something that can kind of keep you grounded, and as you put time and patience and effort into something, you'll eventually see it blossom into something more close to perfect later. I'm gonna go ahead and pull a few more cards for you. The first one we have is the Hawk and Thistle, and it says graceful persistence. So yes, how we have these two birds here too, the owl here and then this hawk, is you going about things in a way that isn't scattered. And if you ever have like watched how birds fly, and how like when they fold their wings in, it is almost like falling, but then when their wings furl out, they just like glide so gracefully. They are able to trust in themselves and their wings so strongly to keep them from not completely falling and failing. Bring that sort of energy to you. Know that you have all of the skills that you need and the ability to do the things that you actually want to do in life, and keep pushing yourself in that way that will show you, it'll prove to you that you can do those things. If you're someone who's a little bit more, you're like, I am not like someone who pushes and goes at it very, very hard and fast and everything. It might be trying to push you toward that a little bit more and letting you know that you do have the ability to do this. Persisting as well when it comes to any sort of relationship, whether it is romantic or otherwise, just being very calm when you're going about it instead of pressing super harshly. The horse in Bluebell here says modest fortitude. So also, yes, being very modest for yourself during this time. It almost gives off this feeling of not being like very bombastic and trying to get noticed for the sake of getting noticed. It is you persevering through that repeated, like plodding along kind of action. How we're seeing with like how horses always draw like large carriages or tools to help, and they just go because they are such powerful creatures. It's kind of that same feeling for you almost. It's going through your February with this kind of like your head held high and very unbothered sort of feelings. And last we have the Ram and Dahlia, and it says determination. So yes, if you are not someone who is very determined and headstrong and pushes for what you want, I feel like you're being called more toward that during this month than any time previously, because we're seeing so many things where you're being brought in to almost this kind of like a leadership situation. You are still going through a lot of learning and a lot of working with other people during this time. So it does kind of give like that mentor-mentee or like partnership kind of vibe, but you are kind of the leading force. It feels like you are the one that is going to be the person who gets the job done. So you need to have that determination with you to really help that and push that forward. I'm going to go ahead and pull some self-care cards for you guys so we can see what you can do during the month of February to help you. Firstly, we have massage. So if you're someone who likes to get massages, or you like to pay for them, or you have like your own massage tools, or even just like using your hands, you can look things up online to help you with this if you are not willing to spend the money on getting a masseuse and actually being taken care of professionally. There are plenty of things that you can look up online that can really help you, especially this one here. Oh my gosh, I love this one. I'm gonna just show the card closer. Behind the neck, like along like the nape of your neck at the back of your skull, and just pressing there can feel so good, and it really can help relieve tension in your neck and head area. So if you have any issues with migraines, that is an amazing massage to do for yourself, and I feel very called toward that one in particular. So it could be that maybe you are going through something in February where if you are pushing yourself very hard, you could be feeling kind of these like aches and strains during the time. So jump on that before you reach that point and really give yourself these massages, or have someone else do that for you during the month of February. We also I've got 2 for 1, so let's go ahead and pull them both. The first one we have is connect with the earth. So if you are someone who loves to go outside, or perhaps you aren't and you just haven't done that before and really gone out and been able to enjoy nature for what it is, it may be the time to start thinking about that. For those of us who live in cooler climates, like it is very cold where I'm at right now, this is still something that I sometimes do despite I hate the cold. I will bundle up and still go outside and enjoy the beauty of the fresh white snow, or the crispness of the air. If you've ever like breathed in extremely cold air and how it just like coats your throat and like you can like feel your lungs just like filling up with the cold. It feels so refreshing when obviously you're able to escape it later and go back inside your warm home. But you may feel more called during February to go outside or connect with the earth in some other ways, such as even cleaning up certain parts of maybe your yard, or if you are seeing trash outside, you might want to feel called to take care of that yourself. Also, for some of us, this is the time where we would start growing our seeds indoors so we could have them ready for our gardens outside. So maybe you are feeling more called to starting something like herbs or your own seeds for your garden as well during this time. We also have connect with fire. So very interesting that we have two elements in one. And it's very funny because I don't think I have ever, despite having this deck for a long time, I've never pulled either of these cards. So the fact that I pulled them both at the same time must mean something. Connecting with fire, that can help you going and connecting with the earth, going outside and being able to enjoy the outdoors despite it being cold in with a fire can be very helpful for you. But also it is reading even further into connecting with the earth and grounding yourself, and then connecting with fire and pushing yourself with that passion and energy that we were seeing in the earlier parts of your reading. So being very balanced within yourself, but also allowing yourself to burst and manifest and grow with this passion are two very important things during the month of February. It feels very it feels very much like you are going to lean on certain aspects of yourself that maybe you haven't in a long time, or you've been too afraid to tap into these things. But I think both of these will be very, very helpful for you. I'll pull one last card, and then I have the Astro Dice for you guys. So what's the last few messages for group 3? We have Jean-Pierre Polnareff, and it says facing your demons. So being able to not be afraid of what it is that you have within yourself, and know that you have within yourself, and being able to face those things head on instead of running away from them. How we talked a little bit about this 9 of Cups reversed and the 5 of Swords reversed, and how these could be subconscious things that you are really struggling with. It may be the time for you to face those head on, because perhaps those are things that are really holding you back from progressing even further. Because I get this feeling that you are someone who, you like to get the job done, you like to progress, you like to push yourself, and it's kind of like these are the last few things. There's something going on that you need to dig deep on and really unravel and face, so you can find this sense of progress. And again, if this sounds like you're so afraid of these things, I think you're being called to taking charge of your life and pushing through these things. Lastly, I'll roll the Astro Dice for you guys. So this could be your sun, moon, or rising, or perhaps someone in your life who will be important during this time. The first one we're seeing is Aries, so we're seeing more of that sort of like ram iconography in your life. So again, you could be a fire sign. This could be talking about this need to fall into that like passionate, more driven personality. Next we have Virgo. That's where we're seeing our earth connection as well. And lastly, Cancer. So dealing with emotions. All right, thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. I know it was a lot. It seems like you have a very important and intense February ahead for you guys. So if you did get this far in your reading, and if this sounds like you, feel free to leave a comment, especially if this resonated with you, and kind of like your plan on how almost like your course of action plan that you plan on implementing. Let me know exactly what it is that you are doing to really push yourself. And also feel free to leave a fire emoji in the comment box below to let me know that you were group 3. Anyway, thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hello, group number 4, and welcome to your reading all about your February 2024 predictions. So before we get into the reading, remember to grab something for you to hydrate with and also something for you to take notes with during this reading. So if I say any certain messages or you see any symbolism during the reading, you can write those down for your future reference. So you guys chose the Marigold Tarot along with this Bloodstone. I'm just going to show this off one more time for you guys before we get into your reading. I hope you guys have had an amazing week. I hope your January went very well for you guys. Let's head into what we can see for February of 2024 for group 4. We have a card that has launched out of the deck at the very beginning, also staying a bit obscured, as well as another card that popped right out. We have Temperance and King of Cups. I'm starting with 3 to start off with because I just felt very called toward that. We're seeing a lot of strong vibes already in you guys' reading. So we have Justice in the reverse position. So this comes about when it feels like there was some sort of injustice that was done to you. There's something that happened or is going to happen in your life that feels like it was just so undeserved. Very unfair, and feels very much like someone or something was very dishonest about itself to you. And I'm getting this feeling like it was already revealed to you. Like it feels like you are coming into February with this feeling as if something happened in January that is leading into this obvious like feeling of like, this is so unfair. Like, why did this happen to me? It can also be a lack of accountability too, where someone, they hyped themselves up, or a situation hyped itself up, and then it ended up falling very short. And now you're sitting there with the pieces afterwards, and you're trying to figure out what that means for you now. In Temperance, though, this talks about being very balanced and being very patient. You will eventually find your purpose and meaning in life, but it is coming at you in a way that it may be strange because you went through like a pain in order to reach this higher purpose and this pleasure later kind of thing. So we are seeing symbolism here of Libra as well as Sagittarius. So those could be important for you in your life, in your situation. Next, we have the King of Cups, and this is someone who is very in control of their emotions. They feel very balanced. They feel very much like they don't rely on they rely on their feelings and their heart, but they don't, because they're not afraid of relying on those things. They know they're not gonna like fly off the handle and basically lose it kind of thing. This is someone who is also very generous as well. They love to give their time and their energy to someone. We're seeing a lot with water as well, with the cups, and then also Temperance, how they are pouring the water into the other cup down below sort of thing. So again, I really think this is having to deal with emotions. So I think this is perhaps a situation where something has happened and you are sort of stepping into this Temperance power, and is going to give you the ability to lean into this emotional balance that you have for yourself and for other people during February. Let's go ahead and keep This card wanted out. The Lovers. All right. So this is going to lead you down a path of either strengthening a current relationship that you are in, or you are going to start a new relationship, or perhaps be well on your way into starting a new relationship with someone in February. Again, February houses Valentine's Day, so perhaps this is something where you are with someone during this time, or you feel just a very strong connection with someone during this time. If not with someone else, this could also talk about just being very unified within yourself. You are the one who knows how best to treat yourself, and so you are finding value within you and the choices that you make for yourself as well. For others, though, I am seeing this as, again, you are finding someone to be with during this time, and it's because you have gone through something that is bringing you a stronger sense of emotional, like, security and emotional maturity that is going to allow you to open up this door for this lover's moment. And how we were talking earlier about how we were seeing Libra, Sagittarius, we are now also seeing Gemini as being something that could be important in your life. Can we get some more messages for group 4, please, Spirit? Ten of Swords. In the Ten of Swords, this here is talking about there's some sort of loss, and I am seeing this almost as you are going to lose your previous mindset behind whatever this thing is, because I'm seeing this as it being bookended. The Ten of Swords talks about this like feeling of like being defeated, being in crisis mode, and endings of some sort. There's an end to something, and it's generally comes around because it feels like you were backstabbed by another person. And so I think that this almost feels like there's some injustice that you don't understand the deeper meaning of it, and you're like, well, why did this happen, or who did this, kind of thing. And then it feels like at the end of February, you are going to find out exactly who and why. And it is going to, yeah, it will hit you. It will feel like just a ton of bricks hitting you all at once, kind of thing. It feels like a gut punch kind of thing. Like I feel like tightness in my chest kind of thing, where it's hard for me to talk. But I think that if you are able to see the good within balancing yourself out and really relying on your sense of purpose, finding unity within yourself or another person. For some of you, this is going to be very much you alone. Perhaps you were previously backstabbed by a person, by a relationship, and so this may be you trying to find love within yourself before you get with another person. Finding that value, and then also bringing these together and finding the sense of you having this emotional control and being very generous with yourself. You're going to be able to blast back the pain that you feel from this injustice, and also the Ten of Swords. You're going to be able to push those two things away. This is giving that feeling, I hope it's not this, but it's giving that feeling of like as if someone, like perhaps someone cheated on you and you were really questioning it for a long time and didn't know quite how things were going, and then you start focusing on yourself more during February because you're like, you know what, like it feels really like the relationship feels different. I just want to focus on me. And then suddenly at the end of the month, you get a text, or like you get the hey girly, like kind of like message where you find out that like there was this reason, there was this person, and then it suddenly feels like everything's crumbling. But if you are able to focus on this inner self power, you're going to be able to come through it on the other side much more positively than you possibly would have. Let's go ahead and pull. Can we get some clarification cards? Because this is very, very strong and very intense. You're seeing the Six of Swords in the reverse position, which is you being unable to move on from something. There's this feeling of like you're carrying baggage from something else, something that has happened. And that's kind of what I was feeling before, is like it feels like something happened to you perhaps in January or maybe even earlier at the end of 2023 that is really leading into this next phase of your life, and you are trying to get over it, or rather you want to get over it, but you can't. You're stuck on it because you don't have that last bit of information that would possibly sever whatever ties that you have. We also have the Five of Swords. So there's a lot of swords coming out now. And in this Five of Swords, this talks about being open to this change. And there is still past resentment. There's still something that's holding you really, really tightly, but you want to release it. Let's go ahead. Can we get some advice, please, Spirit, for group 4 in like what they can do in order to release this? Three of Swords reversed. Yeah, this feels really intense. This feels like some sort of like the Three of Swords when it's like upright talks about like grief, sorrow, rejection, heartbreak. It talks about literally being stabbed through the heart. But when it is in the reverse position, it talks about the need to release this pain, leaning more on optimism rather than being fully drenched in pessimism, and also talks about forgiveness. So even if you're not forgiving another person in this, if someone betrayed you, if you're not ready to forgive them, at least forgiving yourself. So people have this happen a lot where when they are the victim of something, they will sometimes really beat down themselves in their minds, being like, well, why could I, like, how and why could I let this happen to myself? Like, why was I with this person for this long? Like, I was treated like an absolute fool, and it took me so long to leave them, even though people were telling me like, hey, they're not good for you, or I knew that they weren't good for me and I still stuck with them, kind of thing. They can do more damage talking down on themselves than just forgiving themselves and moving on from the situation. And you healing and forgiving yourself first can do wonders for the actual healing process, even if you're not, again, ready to forgive whoever caused this to you. You're going to be able to take steps in progressing and healing if you're able to heal and forgive yourself first. I have been there, so I absolutely know what it's like. I still hold grudges from things that have happened in my past, and despite not necessarily forgiving those people for what they've done to me, I instead forgive myself for allowing those things to happen to me for as long as they did. And that really helped me when it came to processing and going through the like grieving process, essentially. The other thing that I was feeling really called to say to you guys is, if you haven't done it before and don't know what it is, look up cord cutting. It's a process where you really sit down, and it's a lot of meditating, and you try to release the bonds that you have with a certain person or situation. And it's not usually like a one and done kind of thing, like, oh, that worked out perfectly, now I never think about them again. It tends to be something that you have to do a few times if you're still feeling this really intense like hatred for someone or something. But it can really start to help with that healing process, is you essentially letting go from the energetic ties that the pair of you, or if there's more people involved, letting go of those ties and feeling more detached and more indifferent to them instead of harboring this like pain from whatever it is that they caused. I'm going to go ahead and pull a few more cards for you guys. So advice for group 4 or any further messages for group 4 for February of 2024. The first we're seeing is the quail and gooseberry, and it says anticipation. So you could be anticipating perhaps this moment that's going to be happening, or anticipating, it kind of feels like when's the other like shoe gonna drop. It kind of feels like, well, I know some information but not all, so you may be sitting there waiting for that to come through. You could also just be in anticipation of this want to release but inability to do so. So February could be the time where you start to delve into that and start to make progress. Next we have the goat and willow, and it says overcoming obstacles. So yes, whatever obstacles that are going to come your way in February, I see that you're going to be able to have the strength to leap over those, clear them entirely, and not have to be afraid of catching your foot and falling during this time. We're also seeing the fox and ivy, and it says adaptability on it. So you adapting to new situations. If this has caused sort of a situation where perhaps you were living with someone and then you find out that they were unfaithful and you have to go through a process of moving out because you can't stand living with them kind of thing, you may have to adapt to a new situation or a new setup in your life. But I see you being able to harness this very playful, mischievous feeling that the fox always invokes in everyone, and you're going to be able to kind of easily like bounce your way through this instead of feeling stuck and like you have no agency over yourself and what it is that you're currently going through. Let's go ahead and pull some self-care cards as well for you guys for the month of February to see what it is that you can do during this time to kind of help you through this process. If there's this need to heal in whatever way, what is it that group 4 can do? The first one I see is Sweet Treat. This is such a cute card. So if you're somebody who loves to bake, or you can find that if you go through a breakup that you just sit down and binge and it just makes you feel good because you're giving yourself like that much needed serotonin boost. It's kind of like the the stereotypical, like you get broken up with or you break up with someone and then you sit down on the couch with a tub of ice cream and you're just eating out of it kind of thing. It's like everything like that's so stereotypical. Allowing yourself to have something sweet during February, or even not being afraid to buy your own Valentine's Day candy. Like I know for some people they can get really weird about being like, I'm not gonna have anything. Do not be afraid to buy your own or make your own during this time as well, so you can get that boost of serotonin that you need. It really gives me that feeling of like wanting to be surrounded by the beauty and joy that food can bring. I don't know, that might sound crazy to some people, but I am such a foodie. I love creating new dishes for myself. I love trying out new recipes, new ingredients, things like that. So if you love being adventurous, this may be the time for you to try out a new recipe that can really just bring that little bit more joy in your life. Next, we have rest. So getting plenty of sleep during this time, not skimping out on that, because it can be so easy for us to just push and push and push and not get our solid 7, 8, 9, 12 hours of sleep, that whatever it is that you need for your body, I think that you need to focus on during February, so you aren't straight up just like suffocating your brain. Like you aren't like causing your body to not have enough rest to which it's not healing properly. Things like that. Like you need to really focus and let yourself calm and slow down and go into more of a healing, restful state of mind. Because when we get rest, we are literally repairing our bodies. I feel like you've been through something very dramatic or traumatic, and you need to take the time to rest and recover. Lastly, we're seeing positive affirmations. This is so beautiful, especially if you are going through something such as someone being unfaithful to you. How it shows on here, I love myself, I choose love, brave, beautiful, worthy, grateful, healthy, and happy. Those sorts of things, and speaking those out loud and forcing yourself to really believe these things can really start to help repair something. Like perhaps someone who was unfaithful. I have been there. I've had to go through this process of needing to build up my self-confidence again after that had happened to me. So this is something that for people who have been through it, they know that this is a process to go through. And I think that February is, again, especially since I just set it on also the lovers as well, it gives off this feeling of you needing to be very just be very, very loving and grateful toward you and your own body and how it carries you throughout the day. I'm going to pull one last card for you guys, and then I will also pull, I'll roll the Astro Dice a few times. So any last messages, please, for group 4? We're seeing the Haruno Shiobana card, and it says power in silence. So not having to necessarily, I don't think you should be silent in the way of like not talking about your feelings, but for those in your life who are just coming to you to find the tea or the drama and they just want to hear it from you, those people are reigniting that trauma and making you go through and fall into this mode of having to like gossip about the thing that you went through, when honestly it really isn't any of their business. If they come about it in a way that is to help you and they're like, listen, I'm here to support you. You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but I'm here if you need someone, that's fine. But if you know the type of person who comes out of the woodwork the moment that something distressing has happened and they want to hear all about it kind of thing, and then suddenly when things are going good, they disappear. You do not have to give that to those people. Finding power within silence in the sense of you not needing to give that energy to those people. Also, there's that power of resting. You're silent because you are asleep. Being calm and secure within yourself, not letting people see what you're going through in the way of like, some people can be so they can be really nosy. So if you posted something on your social media about how hurt you are about a situation, people could be seeing that kind of thing. So if you are keeping it more to yourself in that way, that can be so much more powerful, because then they don't know how they hurt you. They don't know what was going on in your mind now because they don't have access to it. Obviously, seek the support you need with people who are legitimately there to help you, but for others, don't give them that power. Lastly, I will roll the Astro Dice for your sun, moon, or rising, or perhaps someone who's involved in this situation, or someone who may be important during this time. The first one we're seeing is Aquarius. Next, we have Libra. And lastly, we have Scorpio. So thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. I know there was a lot going on in this. I hope you guys are going on a beautiful healing journey in the new future, in the next near future. I almost said new future, but you know, in the near future. If you guys if this did resonate with you and it sounds like something that you are currently going through and you feel safe to do so, again, power in silence. You do not have to do this, but if you feel compelled to do so, feel free to leave a comment about what was going on in your life and how it is that you plan on stepping into February, what positive affirmations you want to say to yourself. I would love to hear those from you guys. And also, to show that you got to the end of your reading, leave a strawberry emoji to let myself and others know that you chose group 4. Thank you guys again so much for getting to the end of your reading, and I will see you in the next video.